Hey, how are you all doing? Welcome back, and in this tutorial we are going to start logging our users. So we are going to have another query here, a login query. So let us jump right into it. So in our login query, we are going to have a username, which is a required string, a password, also a required string, and we're going to return a user, which is also required. And because we already have a login query, so there's something that we have to add here in the user. It is created at, which is a date data type, but in here it's going to be a string. It is required to, because we already have it in our database. So yeah, and let us go back into our resolvers, and after this get users, we're going to have our login, which is a query. So login, which is asynchronous, and we're going to have a parent, but since we are not going to use this parent, so we're going to have an underscore, and of course we're going to have arguments. And of course we are going to initialize the arguments, so const username and password, which is equal to args. And another thing is we're going to have our errors array, so let errors is equal to an object. And yeah, so we're going to have our try catch block, and inside our try we are going to first of all try to catch some errors if there is any. So if username dot trim is equal to an empty string, then errors dot username is equal to username cannot be empty. I'm going to copy it one more time, so Control Alt Shift and down arrow to have our password, so Control and D to select the username and replace it with password. So we will have errors code, and we're going to show our errors using authentication error. So if object dot keys and then you're going to pass in our errors. Dot length is greater than 0. Then we're going to throw authentication error, but I think I haven't imported it, so I have to import it first. Authentication error. And the error message is going to be bad input, and we're going to show the errors, so pass in the errors. After that, I think we need to see if the user exists in our database, so const user is equal to await user, which is our user model, dot find one, and then where username. So we're going to find a user using the username, and if we do not find one, then we're going to throw an error. So if not user, then if not users, then errors dot username is equal to user not found. And we're going to throw this error, new authentication error, and we're going to pass in I think I already did that. So we are going to have this error, user not found, and then we're going to pass in the error object. And yeah, so the next thing is actually we're going to compare our password, because we received our password as a hash. So if you try to log in a user without a hashed password, then it is always going to give you an error. So we have to compare the password the user has entered and the one in our database. So const correct pass is equal to bcrypt, so await bcrypt dot compare, and then we're going to compare our password and the password of our user in the database. So user dot password, then if not correct password, incorrect pass, we are going to show this to add this error into our errors object. So errors dot password is equal to password is not correct, and we're going to pass in our password. Now we're going to throw new authentication error, password is not correct, and passing the errors object. So yeah, and another thing is we need to install another package, which is JSON Web Token, in order to generate our token, our JSON token. So if a user logs in, then we need to do something. So kill this terminal by hit Ctrl+C and yes, clear npm I JSON Web Token. It is going to take some time. Let us wait. So the package is installed. Okay, we're going to import so const jwt is equal to require JSON Web Token, and since we will have it, then let us start using the JSON Web Token. So after this, we're going to it is okay. So const token is equal to jwt dot sign in, and then we have to pass three things in here. The first one is the argument, which in our case it is username, and then we have to pass the secret, and another thing is the expiry. So the first one is actually a username, because we want to generate a JSON Web Token based on the username of the user, and the secret in order to make sure that the JSON Web Token used to verify the user is coming from us, and of course the expiry. So yeah, in here we're going to have a word, for example, Swahili speaking coder, Ctrl+Z, Swahili speaking coder, and the last one in the expire date, so expires in, and we're going to say it is going to expire in 1 year, so 1 year. Yeah, there we have it, our token. So we need to assign the user token to this token, so user token is equal to this token that we just generated. So we are going to assign the user that we signed in with to this token that we created just now. So yeah, and so we're going to return the user, and then return user. But we need something here. Let us go into the schema, and we need this token. So token, which is a string but not required because not every time a user logs in or sign in they are going to have a token, so that is totally okay. So save it all, npm undev. Let us wait. So let us go into localhost playground, control space, so it is a query. Instead of a query, we do have get users. We are not interested in it. When we do have a login user, a login query, so let us take this one. And we do have a username. Let us pass it. I think let us double check in our database to see the users we do have. So MySQL command line client, root password, show databases, we do have, so use Instagram, okay, made an error, use Insta, okay, so select all, users. So we do have a user with a name Babu and an email Babu, the babu@email.com. so we're going to log in using this user. So the username is Babu, and of course the password, I think I know the password is 136 1 2 3 4 5 6, and I think we need to return the username and the token for now. So run it, and here we have it. So we have a username and the JSON web token, and yeah, it is looking quite great. But there is one thing that I want to add here, and this is the created at. So let's go into the schema. Yeah, we have it, the created at. I simply just need to restructure it. So instead of returning our user as a user, we're going to do something like this. We're going to spread this one operation. So user, which is the user that we find. So user dot to JSON to have the user data in a JSON format, and yeah. Since we do have a user data into JSON format, so we're going to destructure the created at into an ISO string. So created at is going to be user dot created at dot to ISO string, and yeah. So we also need that token. So token, yeah. So save it all, and go back here. We are going to return also the created at. So run it, and yes, we are getting the date in a very good format. So this is it for this tutorial, and in the next tutorial I'm going to try and get some users using the authentication. So if the user is not logged in, it is not going to see any data, or to be specific here, because we only have another query which is get user. So if the user is not logged in, will not be able to retrieve the data from the users table. So thank you, and hope to see you in the next tutorial.